There's a kind of discipline that doesn't require willpower, a force so powerful that it makes consistency automatic. And today, you'll discover the ancient Japanese principle that transforms obligation into identity. Have you ever noticed how some people never break their commitments? They show up every single day, not because they're motivated, but because it's simply who they are. While everyone else needs reminders, accountability partners, and motivational speeches, these people just do what needs to be done. And you know what the difference is? They understand something the samurai knew 400 years ago, something they called Giri. Giri is often translated as duty or obligation, but that doesn't capture its true power. It's not about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It's about understanding that certain responsibilities are so deeply woven into your identity that breaking them would be like trying to breathe underwater. It becomes impossible, not because you can't do it, but because it contradicts who you are. Before I show you exactly how this works, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below what's one commitment you've been struggling to keep. This helps the channel reach more people, and I love reading your stories. Thank you for your attention. Now, back to the video. The story begins, let me tell you about a woman named Elena. She was 29 years old, working as a graphic designer, living alone in the city, trying to build a life that mattered. Elena had dreams. She wanted to launch her own design studio, get in shape, learn to speak Japanese, read more books, meditate daily. The usual list, and like most people, she had tried everything to make these things stick. Habit tracking apps, she downloaded 5 of them. 30-day challenges, she started 12. Accountability groups, she joined 3. Motivational videos, she watched hundreds. And every single time the pattern was the same. Week 1, burning motivation. Week 2, first signs of resistance. Week 3, complete collapse. By week 4, she'd be back to scrolling through social media, eating takeout, promising herself that Monday would be different. Elena wasn't lazy, she wasn't stupid, she wasn't lacking information. She had read every productivity book, watched every self-improvement video, knew exactly what she needed to do. But knowing and doing are separated by an invisible wall that most people never break through. That wall has a name. It's called the gap between intention and identity. The moment everything changed one evening, Elena was at a coffee shop, watching an elderly Japanese woman who came in at exactly 5:30 p.m. every single day. This woman, Mrs. Tanaka, would order the same tea, sit at the same table, and spend exactly 1 hour writing in a journal. Elena had seen her dozens of times. Rain or shine, busy or quiet, this woman appeared like clockwork. One day, curiosity got the better of her. Elena approached Mrs. Tanaka and asked, "How do you do it? How do you come here every single day without fail?" Mrs. Tanaka looked up with kind eyes and said something that would change Elena's life forever. "I don't come here because I have to. I come here because this is what a person who honors their word does. When I made a promise to myself 15 years ago that I would journal every day, I wasn't making a goal. I was declaring my identity. And a person with my identity doesn't break promises." Elena felt something shift inside her. She'd been treating her commitments like tasks, things she could do or not do depending on how she felt. But Mrs. Tanaka was talking about something completely different. She was talking about Giri. Understanding Giri, Mrs. Tanaka explained further. In Japanese culture, we have this concept called Giri. It's your duty, your obligation, but not in the way Westerners usually think. It's not about forcing yourself or using willpower. Giri is about understanding that certain responsibilities are part of who you are. When a samurai made an oath to his lord, it wasn't something he had to remember to do. It was woven into his very being. Breaking that oath would be like asking him to stop being himself. Elena listened, fascinated. But how do you create that? How do you make something part of your identity instead of just another task on your to-do list? Mrs. Tanaka smiled. That's the question that separates those who transform from those who just try. And I'll teach you, but only if you're willing to do something that will feel uncomfortable at first. The 5 principles of Giri. Over the next several weeks, Mrs. Tanaka taught Elena the 5 principles that turn obligation into identity. The first principle is called Komai no Senjin, the public declaration. Mrs. Tanaka explained that when you make a promise only to yourself, your brain categorizes it as negotiable. It's just you, and we're excellent at lying to ourselves. But when you declare something publicly, when you tell others who you are becoming, your brain interprets failure differently. It becomes not just a broken promise, but a threat to your social identity. The samurai understood this centuries ago. When they took their vows, it wasn't in private meditation. It was in front of their entire clan, witnessed by everyone who mattered. The social weight of that declaration made the commitment non-negotiable. Elena was skeptical. "So I just tell people what I'm going to do?" Mrs. Tanaka shook her head. "No, you don't tell them what you're going to do. You tell them who you are. There's a massive difference. Saying I'm going to exercise is a goal. Saying I'm a person who takes care of their body is an identity. Goals can be abandoned. Identity cannot be betrayed without deep psychological pain." The second principle is Gimu no Ninshiki, recognizing the debt. This is where Giri becomes truly powerful. In Japanese culture, Giri involves understanding that you have received benefits from others, and those benefits create obligations that must be honored. But Mrs. Tanaka explained it differently for personal development. Every morning you wake up healthy, you've received a gift from your body. That creates an obligation to honor that gift by taking care of it. Every day you have free time, you've received a gift from the universe. That creates an obligation to use it wisely. When you see your commitments not as burdens, but as responses to gifts you've already received, everything changes. Elena felt tears forming. She'd been treating her health, her time, her opportunities as things she owned. But Mrs. Tanaka was teaching her to see them as borrowed gifts that demanded respect. That shift in perspective was profound. Suddenly, not exercising wasn't just laziness. It was dishonoring a gift. Not pursuing her dreams wasn't just procrastination. It was wasting something precious that had been entrusted to her. The third principle is Renshu no Fuhensei, unchanging practice. Mrs. Tanaka was firm about this one. You cannot honor Giri with sporadic effort. The practice must be consistent, not because consistency is virtuous, but because consistency is what builds identity. When you do something every single day at the same time in the same way, your brain stops categorizing it as a decision. It becomes simply what happens. Like breathing, you don't decide to breathe, you just do. That's what daily practice creates. Elena started with something small. Every morning at 6 a.m., before checking her phone, before making coffee, she would do 10 push-ups. Just 10. Mrs. Tanaka insisted it had to be small enough that there was no excuse. 10 push-ups takes less than a minute. You can do it in pajamas, you can do it sick, you can do it tired. The point wasn't the push-ups. The point was proving to herself that she was the kind of person who kept her word. The first week was surprisingly hard. Elena's mind rebelled. This is stupid. 10 push-ups won't make any difference. You're wasting time. Skip today and do 20 tomorrow. But she remembered Mrs. Tanaka's words. The moment you create a gap, you're no longer practicing Giri. You're just trying. And trying can be abandoned, being cannot. The fourth principle is Kanzen no Kyohi, rejecting perfection. This one surprised Elena because it seemed to contradict everything she'd learned about discipline. Mrs. Tanaka explained that one of the biggest killers of Giri is the all-or-nothing mentality. In traditional Japanese culture, there's often tension between Giri, duty, and ninjo, human emotion. The key is not to eliminate emotion, but to maintain your obligation even when emotion conflicts with it. When you're sick, you don't abandon practice, you adapt it. When you're traveling, you don't skip, you modify. When life gets chaotic, you don't quit. You do the absolute minimum that maintains the identity. Elena tested this on day 45 when she caught a terrible cold. The old Elena would have said, "I'm sick, I'll start again when I'm better." But Giri Elena did 5 push-ups instead of 10, not because she wanted to, because that's what a person who honors commitments does. And you know what happened. The next day, even though she was still sick, those 5 push-ups felt like victory, because she had maintained the unbroken chain. The fifth and final principle is Seiko no Mokuteki, the ultimate purpose. Mrs. Tanaka saved this for last because it's what transforms Giri from external duty to internal identity. She asked Elena, "Why do you want to build discipline? For yourself, to prove something, to achieve goals?" Elena thought carefully, "I want to become someone I'm proud of, someone who doesn't break promises to herself, someone who lives with intention instead of reacting to life." Mrs. Tanaka nodded. "That's your ultimate purpose. And here's the secret. Giri is not just about individual obligations. It's about locating yourself in relationship to something larger, whether that's family, society, or in your case, your highest self. Every time you honor your practice, you're not just doing push-ups or writing in a journal. You're voting for the identity of the person you're becoming. You're building evidence that you are someone who keeps their word. And that evidence accumulates until it becomes undeniable. The transformation 6 months later, Elena was unrecognizable, not just physically, though she had gotten stronger, not just professionally, though she had launched her design studio. The transformation was deeper. She had become someone who simply didn't break commitments. The 10 push-ups had expanded naturally, not because she forced it, but because her identity had grown. She was now someone who took care of her body, so of course she exercised. She was someone who valued learning, so of course she studied Japanese every day. She was someone who honored her word, so of course she meditated, wrote, and worked on her business with consistency that shocked her old friends. People started asking her, "How do you have so much discipline?" And Elena would smile, remembering Mrs. Tanaka's teachings. "I don't have discipline, I have Giri. I understand my duties not as burdens but as expressions of who I am." When you grasp this distinction, when you stop trying to force yourself and start becoming someone who simply acts in alignment with their identity, discipline becomes effortless. The challenge here's what I want you to understand. Giri isn't about adding more pressure to your life. It's about removing the internal negotiation that drains your energy. When you truly embody this principle, you stop wasting mental energy deciding whether to do something. You just do it because that's who you are. But let me be completely honest with you. This path requires something most people aren't willing to give. It requires you to make a public declaration about who you are. It requires you to show up even when you don't feel like it. It requires you to maintain practice through sickness, chaos, and inconvenience. Most people will read this and think, "That sounds interesting," and then do nothing. They'll go back to their habit tracking apps, their motivation videos, their broken promises, but you're not most people. If you've watched this far, you're someone who's ready for real transformation. So here's my challenge. Choose one commitment, just one, something small enough that you have no excuse. Make a public declaration about it. Not "I will do this," but "I am someone who does this." Then honor that declaration every single day for 100 days, not perfectly, but unbroken. Adapt when necessary. Modify when sick, adjust when traveling, but never create a gap. And when those 100 days are complete, you'll look in the mirror and see someone different. Not because you achieved a goal, because you became someone who keeps their word. That person, the one who honors Giri, can accomplish anything. Because they're not relying on willpower or motivation. They're simply being who they are. If this video gave you a new perspective on discipline, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and tell me in the comments, what's the one commitment you're going to honor for the next 100 days? Write it as an identity statement, not "I will," but "I am." Remember, there's an old Japanese saying, "Death is lighter than a feather, but Giri is heavier than a mountain." That's because Giri is what makes us human. It's what separates those who drift through life from those who build something lasting. Discipline that scares others is the only discipline worth having. If you've made it this far, thank you for your attention. See you in the next video.